Hey folks, Jason and Jake here. You might have seen Jake over on the Play It Forward videos. You may have heard me as largely the disembodied voice when Jake asks for help or needs a little extra expertise in some of the D&D tutorials. Today we're going to do something a little different. Before we start and shoot our normal Saturday D&D video for Play It Forward, we are going to go ahead and we're going to walk around the store a little bit and show you some of the changes and some of what the store has to offer. One of the things that we've heard from other folks, and occasionally John gets the feedback as well, is that some folks think that Brainstorm is more about comics than it is gaming, and while John has a killer selection of comics, he has a ton to offer in the gaming space. So we're going to head over and take a quick tour of the store before we start our other video and show you just what John has to offer for gamers. So here we are outside the Walkersville location for Brainstorm. And for those who haven't been there, this place is much bigger than the Frederick location, which gives John a lot more options out here at this location. So, what do you think, Jake? We ready to go in and take a look?
Yeah, so we should. So this is the first out of like 4 or 5 shelves of Warhammer that they have. They have a row behind this, and then they have another row. But they have a ton of Warhammer, and we personally don't do it yet, but we might. Another great thing is he has tons of paint for all the Warhammer minis and everything like that. He has this Citadel paint. He has another rack of Citadel over here. Then he has some other paints too. But over here are the other racks of Warhammer. So we got this one right here. We got this one over here. And then
definitely lots of Warhammer. I know John is very popular in this area for the Warhammer, and Jake and I haven't ventured down that particular hobby road yet, despite how cool it looks, just based on we have a lot of other hobbies, don't we?
So what do you say we go look at the other rack? Over here there is this rack over here on the side. This has even more Warhammer. And then on this side is a bunch of paint for minis. He carries minis. There's also Warhammer minis and stuff like that. But there's this brand of Reaper paint, which he's been carrying for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I don't know. But this is brand new, and he just got a ton of army paint in. He has primers, he has paintbrushes, he has terrain, he has a bunch of tools, empty bottles, and stuff like that. And basically everything you need to paint a mini and more.
Yeah, it looks like he is fully stocked on the army painter line.
Yep.
What's your favorite paint, Jake?
Mine, army painter for sure. Just all these different colors and everything like that.
And just even the primer selection that John now has
These
here
gray
is
primers
amazing.
Very good.
That's our particular favorite for our minis and our 3D printed projects is the gray. And the terrain stuff over here is a lot of fun just when you want to liven up your mini bases. There's lots of options here.
And he has files and magnets.
Yeah, everything you could possibly need.
And other things like that.
So what do we want to look at next, Jake?
So we go look at the minis for this paint.
That's a good idea.
Over here, he has a pretty wide selection. He has tons of different minis. He has this whole side, and it just keeps on going. There's different minis, there's metal minis, but all these are unpainted, and you can go ahead and paint them yourself. And that's a ton of fun.
What are your favorite minis to paint, Jake?
Dragons for sure, and like he carries some dragons. He has all this.
I think we've bought the last bunch of his bigger dragons, didn't we?
Yeah. So over here is something really important. There is a ton of D&D books. He has all the important ones, and then he has a ton of third series, third party, and stuff like that. So he has the Dungeon Master Guide, Monster Manual, and the Player's Book.
Yep, and these are all the books that we've been covering in the Play It Forward series to kind of get new players started.
And then there's books like Waterdeep, which are kind of a adventure and stuff like that.
Some cool spellbook cards. We're going to go over some of the additional accessories in a future Play It Forward video, just to kind of share stuff that you guys might be interested in. But you can see that John's got a great stock of this stuff.
And one of my favorite things about a store we'll be covering right after this, which is their board games. And their board games are massive. They have this whole wall covered up with just different board games, different stuff. And the way that we normally get a bunch of board games is we just ask Mr. John, and he'll hook us up with something. He'll show us which board games are fun. Like, we got a good board game from him, Spyfall. A ton of fun.
What's your favorite board game, Jake?
My favorite? I have like 2 or 3. This one is one of my favorites. It's called One Night, and then it will have a different name. There's tons of different ones. This one's called One Night Daybreak. There's One Night Alien.
One Night Werewolf.
Bonus rolls and just One Night Werewolf and tons of stuff like that. And that game is really fun.
That is definitely a family favorite.
But I think this would have to be my favorite game right here. And that is the Dixit. And there's tons of add-ons and tons of kits, and he has tons of different things that you can add on to Dixit. And that's a ton of fun too.
And John is constantly getting in new games. So this is always changing.
Like
new stuff is coming in.
Which is a fun game. Just stuff like that.
All right, what do we want to look at next?
Some of the back issues and then the graphic novels.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely heavy on the comic side, right? That's a huge part of what Brainstorm has always been about. And it is a great place to come and get back issues.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at these
all this.
rows of boxes. Graded books coming in. I know John is constantly digging deep into the archives and sending new stuff out to get graded so we can stock it on the shelves. And just...
Then he also carries some pops. He has pops over there. He has pops over there.
Definitely has a selection of popular pops that kind of go with the regular themes of the store here.
Yep. Another great thing is he has a ton of graphic novels. But there's also a ton of just like kid graphic novels and kid stuff. And then there's adult graphic novels and stuff like that.
Yep.
And it's just a great mixture of both.
Yeah, but let's get back to the gaming stuff and we'll talk more about the comics and why you might want to dip your toe in that later, but we are here to look at gaming supplies today.
Yep.
So we've looked at paint, minis, source books, a ton of board games. What else does John have to offer here?
One of the great things is he has tons of dice. This whole cabinet is just filled with different dice, and there's like magic counter dice, there's just regular 6-sided dice. There's just tons of different dice here.
How many dice do you have?
Me? I don't know. More than I can count.
Bonus question, can you ever have too many dice?
No. Like some of my favorite sets, like he carries metal dice. Metal dice are nice. Wood dice, stuff like that.
Even dice bags over there.
Yeah. So
lots of goodies.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of our other favorite games that we haven't touched on yet that we do play a lot of is...
Magic. So over here he does he has a ton of different sleeves. He has just tons of different colors and tons of different stuff like that. And he has that Secret Lair Ultimate Edition.
Oh yeah, just waiting for a lucky buyer.
And then he also has a pretty big cabinet of just singles and everything like that.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I think has really expanded since John came into the Walkersville location. I know he's been putting a lot of time and effort into the singles.
Yep. And then he has some more just packs up there. Stuff like that.
Of course, other card games. Keyforge is up there. Pokemon.
Yep.
Lots of packs. Of course, he stocks the whole range of boosters that you can get currently.
Yep.
And before anyone asks, Jumpstart is in really tough supply these days.
Yeah.
So the other thing that we really like about this store that really puts it over the top for gaming is what, Jake?
Their game space, whatever you want to call it. Where you play Magic and stuff like that. There's Warhammer tables. There's stuff like that. It's just so big and so amazing. And it's like really expanded from their first shop. It was pretty small, but this area is massive.
All right, why don't you show us around now? We have set up to do a video later, so
It's
we've got a couple
all...
of tables moved around, but you'll get a good feel for the space.
Yeah. So there are a bunch of these tables. There's even a bathroom in here.
So what are these interesting looking dividers here, Jake?
So he spent a lot of time and effort into making this place as safe as he can for pre-release. Sadly, there isn't any more. You can't do in-game play anymore.
Or in-store play, yeah.
But
Wizards have suspended it, but
when he did do the pre-release, we were lucky enough to come, and he put in a ton of different just things. You all had to wear masks required. There is these giant plexiglass dividers. And then whenever you moved, you'd have to
you
like
carried
switch
your
seats.
chair.
Yep.
Everything got wiped down.
And it was just, he made it so safe and so amazing. It was a really fun pre-release.
What are these big tables over here, Jake?
And these are massive Warhammer tables. He does a lot of Warhammer. I've seen people play on them before. I personally haven't, but I've seen a lot of people. And there are tons of different, just a bunch of different trains and stuff like that for the stuff. But this game room is absolutely massive compared to the first time. Like, the one that we were in was about half this size, maybe?
Not even half.
Yeah, so like a fourth to half this size was the one that his old shop used to be. And this one is very massive, very big, great to play in.
This entire space is dedicated to in-store play. And hopefully when everything settles out with the COVID situation, this place will get up and running quickly. And this will be a really fun destination for all your gaming needs.
Yeah.
Let's go talk to Mr. John himself. I think he's busy up here stocking, but we can take a little bit of his time.
Okay.
All right, Mr. John, we're going to put you on the spot. So Jake and I have been walking around the store, just kind of focusing on the gaming stuff, right? You and I have had a bunch of conversations about all the time and effort you've been putting on the gaming side of the shop.
Yep.
And that we've been doing some work to try to change the preconceived notion that you're just a comic book guy, right? Or you're just a comic book shop. What do you say to folks who think that Brainstorm is just a comic shop?
Well, I mean, I've always been very forthright with people that I am more of a comic book guy. I mean, that's what got me into like the store and everything. But I don't know. One of the things I've always liked is when people come into the store and like their eyes light up and they get very like enthusiastic about their hobby. And the thing is, for me, like whenever anybody's interested in something like that, like it's infectious. Like when somebody's really hardcore in it, and you don't necessarily have to be into what they're into, but like that happiness kind of like it's transferable. Like it makes you happy as well. So when we took over the store, Dan had like maybe 50 to 75 different board games. Now in our Frederick location, we probably have about 750, somewhere around there. Here we have about 350, but our goal is to fill up our whole wall here, and I think we can probably fit about 1,000 to 1,200 board games in here once we do that.
Wow. Start saving your allowance, Jake.
So right now, I mean, we're still a work in progress. I'm not going to lie to people. For me, I didn't want to take out a loan to build the store out. I wanted to build it in pieces. And I think that there was several benefits to that. Number one, I didn't get into like any outrageous debt. So when something like COVID happens, like I didn't like have a huge setback. But more importantly is as customers came in, I was asking them like what they wanted to see, and therefore it allowed me to build to where the customer base was as opposed to me just guessing what they wanted. So our biggest areas of growth in Walkersville have been Games Workshop. Board games have slowed down a little bit. I think it's mostly because, again, because of COVID, people aren't getting together with their friends as much. But it seems like that's starting to change, and people are starting to come back in for board games. So Games Workshop has been like our area of growth. That's why we're carrying like the new paints, Army Painter that you were talking about.
Yeah, lots of people catching up on painting their backlog, right?
Exactly. So Games Workshop is a little bit different than board games in that even if you can't get together with your friends, there's still parts of that hobby that you can still do. You can still put together your minis, paint your minis. Games Workshop fans always have a backlog. I don't play Games Workshop myself, but I do Lego, and I understand like you keep buying and you don't necessarily have the time to put it together as you go along, but you want that next set to put together. D&D
players are the same way. Jake and I have quite a backlog of minis, and quite a few minis that we purchased here months ago and probably still have not painted.
Yeah,
sadly.
It's not that you're not going to get to it. It's just as time arrives.
Yeah, life happens.
Exactly. Again, with board games, unfortunately, without being able to play with people, it's a little less.
But there are some great family games. Jake and I pointed out some things like Dixit and Spyfall and One Night Werewolf. So,
well, like I said, it does seem like people are starting to change that a little bit. I think that a lot of people have a trusted set of friends that they will bring over to their house or whatever. It's just that they don't want to go into a store necessarily and sit down at the gaming tables there and play. Now, we are taking several precautions for the games that we do allow. I think you and I said that we're going to do a video highlighting all the different things that we're doing right now.
We've already covered some of the precautions that you took, even though we can't run them anymore prior to the Wizards shutting down the pre-release and in-store play. You went through a lot of time and effort making that as safe as possible with the dividers.
And we're still doing the Magic thing. We just can't do sanctioned events. Like we can't do the DCI thing. And we are working on some alternatives so we can do the DCI thing as well, though, because they're allowing remote play counting towards DCI, and we're looking into that to get
absolutely.
That
so we're going to be able to hopefully offer some virtual alternatives, especially for the folks who are cautious about coming in or who have loved ones that are, particularly susceptible to COVID and just want to be extra cautious. We're working on a way for those folks to come in and get product and enjoy at home while still getting to play officially.
Yeah, and we're always pretty accommodating to anybody. So, like, if they want a product and they want it, but they don't want to come in, they can either pull up outside and say, "Hey, can you bring up this for me?" and we'll do that for them. And we're still doing the delivery thing. Not as many people are taking advantage of that right now. I think a lot more people are comfortable with the precautions we're taking. So.
And people are looking to get outside if they can do it safely.
Exactly. And, the reason we opened up a second store was so that we could do a whole gaming scene here in Walkersville. We have parking, so people don't have to pay for parking. I know that's one of the big complaints for our downtown store. So, we have enough parking spots, I think, for like 12 cars out there, and then we also have street parking. Which can easily fit a whole
absolutely. It's not even bad even when you had the pre-release. There was plenty of parking. I think the other misconception, John, tell people how easy it is to really get here. I think some folks have it in their mind that we're way out in the middle of nowhere, right?
So sometimes when people hear Walkersville, I've heard people go, "Oh, well, I don't want to drive half an hour to an hour," and I'm like, "It's 10 minutes down the street." So if they get on Market and take it on down to the end of North Market and then take 26. Once you're on 26, it's maybe 5 minutes from that point. You just go past the sheets in Walkersville, and like I said, it's literally like maybe four turns in order to get here from the downtown location.
Yeah, it really is easy, and for some of us, it's actually even closer.
And the other thing is, even though it is outside of town, for some people it's actually faster to get here, not just because it may be closer, but because they don't have to fight the in-town traffic and trying to find a parking spot or whatever. Once you count all that into the equation, for some people this is a lot less time consuming than going to the downtown store.
Absolutely. So what else is exciting coming up? Anything you want to close out with it?
Well, I'm always doing more and more stuff in the store. I have tons of plans, just not enough time to do them all as fast as I want to. We're adding more shelves for the comic books. I know that you're trying to focus more on gaming, though. We're going to carry Vallejo here very, very soon. We're looking into how to carry that, like what distributors we can go through. I'm going to put in a large gaming order this coming week because, like I said, the board game sales have started picking up now. So I'll probably get a good deal of board games here next week, probably 100 or so more board games.
Yeah, and folks will want to keep an eye on the Facebook page because John is particularly good about kind of letting everyone out there know what stock has come in. And so if you see something you're interested in, you can shoot over or call John to arrange another way to get it.
And then one of the things I want to do here soon is to do a whole order of the Citadel tools and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I know a lot of people have their preference. So painters definitely have their preference as to what paint they love, which tools they love. It's definitely like whatever they're most comfortable with. None of them are necessarily wrong or right. It's just personal preference.
Well, options are always good too, right? Best tool for the job.
Exactly. And then I heard you talk about dice also. I'm looking into ways to display the dice better to allow us to highlight them a lot more. One thing I always say about dice is they're a lot like Jell-O. There's always room for more.
Yes.
And then for The singles, I want to try and find a stand-up display for those, again, so we can better light it and let people see more of the cards that we have. We are working on organizing all of our backstock for Magic cards also. I think we easily have about 150,000 cards. I want to get them all alphabetized and organized by color. We won't. I'm not going to lie. We're not going to let people look through that. But if people come in with a list of what they're looking for, we will go through it and find the cards for you. And our prices, we don't have it marked, but anybody that wants to know what prices are, we always go by TCG market price, TCG player market price. It just makes it easier on everybody. That seems to be the going price for most people.
So how easy, let's say my home store is downtown, right? But you've got something that I absolutely have to have, and for some reason I don't want to drive to Walkersville. How easy is it to get something sent over to the other store?
We transfer stock almost every day. Like whether somebody here wants something from downtown or whether somebody downtown wants something here.
So even if folks never come to this particular location, they get the benefit from the expanded stock and everything else that you're being able to carry just by utilizing the downtown store.
I would still recommend if you go to the downtown store that you come out here at least once or twice, or once every month or so, just to see what we can do out here. I know a lot of people have messaged me asking me to carry like the Army Painter downtown also. Unfortunately, with how much space we have downtown, it's not as easy as it is here.
But it is just a quick drive.
Exactly. And I don't want it to sound like we're like the downtown store is very well stocked, but we just can't with 1,000 square feet as opposed to the 400 square feet here. It's just not feasible to carry everything in the downtown location also. But like I said, you won't be disappointed in the downtown store either. It's just if you want like a larger variety of choices, you would definitely want to come out here.
Absolutely. I think that's it for this. If you guys like this, like and subscribe. I think the idea is Jake and I will work with John to shoot some other kind of bonus behind the scenes-ish videos, right? Kind of showing what's going on at the store, some of the cool stuff that's coming in. So be sure to keep an eye on the channel for future videos. We'll see you soon.